Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you're able to tune into this recording. My name's Dave Sleet. I'm Managing Director for A&A Psychological Accreditation, and I am joined by our CEO, Siobhan Crosby. Siobhan, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, aka Ronnie here. Very glad to be here. Looking forward to chatting to you about what you're planning on doing, this crazy venture that you've created. Go on, tell us about what you're trying to do, David.
Well, as some people will already know, we have a benevolent fund.
Yes,
and the benevolent fund is designed to support therapeutic professionals when they need it the most. Only in order to have a benevolent, one of those long words that we have a separate bank account, the benevolent fund, we need to be able to raise revenue for it. We need to raise donations. We need to make sure that we're able to actually facilitate that fund. So in the infinite wisdom, it has been decided that I will do a half marathon Wellbeing Walk. Thank you very much for the volunteering for that one. But 13.1 miles, maybe a little bit longer, between Anstruther and Leven up in Fife in Scotland, right along the Fife coast. We're going past some amazing points of Fife history, and the last of the salt production windmills that are left in Scotland. So that's what we're doing. The donation page is open. Click on the link in the description. I wish I could put it up on the screen, have it kind of run on. Click the link. But we're just waiting for the date to be confirmed for all of the authorities for us to run that package. So that's what we're doing.
So David, I wanted to ask you, how have you been practicing basically making sure that your legs carry you up to 14 miles?
Well, it started a long time ago. There was fingers involved that I had to walk like this for a while, but no. Wellbeing Walk, 13.1 miles, is not going to be, it's not the kind of thing that you do when you go down to the shops, is it? So yes, there is kind of a little bit of exercise going on. I'm doing probably about 10k, between 10 and 20k walks every day at the moment, just building up the resilience, getting over the blisters and everything else that are an inevitable part of that process. And hopefully by the beginning of September, it will be a comfortable walk.
Okay, so if we were putting this into a psychological benefit via exercise, what are you finding that you're gaining out of doing this strenuous, regular, in comparison to not so regular last year when we couldn't really do anything? So help me understand how you end up feeling at the end of one of those really long walks that I keep on hearing about in Scotland.
Well, I suppose the first kind of change is that after a while you don't see 10, 11, 12k as a long walk. I think 10k is now being done roughly in about between 50 and 55 minutes, depending on mood, really. But yeah, there is definitely a benefit. I'm getting time along the coast, so I'm getting blue light therapy, as has been tagged by some professionals, but I'm also getting green light therapy when I'm coming away from that and I'm walking through the green spaces along the coast. So I'm getting a huge amount of fresh air, and yes, Fife, believe it or not, has got fresh air, and just the time out to be able to go and do that kind of activity is another kind of benefit as well, because you're breaking the day up. You're not getting caught in one kind of mindset and working the way through a list of activities. So there's definitely, psychological benefit from just doing those.
So if I had to equate this to my swimming, because I finally been able to get back in the pool now,
Mm-hmm.
and I know the impact on me when I get out of that pool, and the most I've done in one go was 60 laps, and I came out of there with the endorphins just going crazy in me, but feeling absolutely incredibly healthy, really healthy. It has an amazing impact on me, and I'm aware of that. But for you, I'm kind of wondering, what's the impact for you when all those endorphins start flying around? And help me understand, because the importance of this is not just about what you're doing, but also showing other people how exercise plays a real part in emotional well-being and how it really does genuinely help you. So help us understand what those walks are like with Charlie, the dog, who accompanies you.
Charlie is, it's always great to have a companion when you're out doing any exercise, whether that's swimming, whether that's walking, whether it's running, cycling, whatever. If you're doing it with somebody, great. Doing it with a canine is phenomenal. And Charlie's benefiting from that just as much as I am, I hope. Certainly physically, I know he is. The endorphins are working in ways that I had almost forgotten that exercise works. Bearing in mind, 20, 25 years ago, I was racing at a serious level of athletic competition on the track. I was training daily. The physical, the psychological impacts of that, most people will have a gauge of what that level of competition is like. This is something very, very different, because there isn't the adrenaline rush. There isn't that kind of the competition. This is just me, one man and his dog, and it's a very different benefit I'm getting. As I said, that blue light therapy, that green light therapy is having its impact. And that impact for me is, one, I have increased my energy level 100 times from where we were during lockdown. It hasn't taken a long time to get up to that level of 10K a day, every day. It probably took about a week and a half of going every other day. And in that first 10 days, there was probably maybe 1 or 2 days where I really didn't want to go. And some days I would only do half, but there was no pressure to kind of, you've got to do. It was just do what your body can, and let's see where you get to. That kind of take that pressure off is just phenomenal. And the self-care that comes with having that time out to go and do that again is phenomenal. But I suppose the biggest thing really is that sense of when you don't think you can, but you do, and your body goes, we can do this. That kind of realization of that resistance, still doing it, you get the gain anyway. It's not like, well, I'll do it just because I should, or what. Take that pressure out, because you're the only person putting it there.
And I think that's one of the most important things, not putting the pressure on it. It can't be about weights. And it is so important to acknowledge that. This is about being healthy. So I know that I gave you a technique, and I'm wondering whether or not you implemented it at any given time, because I do this every time I go swimming. Do you remember when I talked to you about channeling any anger that you felt into pumping into your feet and just walking and pushing that anger and allowing it to come up, because it's an amazing energy when used in a really constructive way. And when it's used through exercise, you are literally draining anger out of you, but it's coming back through your physical achievements. I do it every single time I'm in the pool.
It's that complete conversion of negative energy into positive benefit. And that, you know, there are times where I'm pretty sure Charlie will go, hold on, this pace isn't what we're normally doing, because I am pounding. I am kind of going, right, let's push, let's go for this. Let's, you know, not to the point of looking like I'm on a speed walk, or, you know, I'm on some kind of, you know, military exercise to get round 10K. But it's not a stroll. And they're the kind of times when I'm starting to see that actually that driving any negative, it doesn't have to be anger, it can be anything. But that focal point of converting that negative energy into something that's positive. And Boyo's just come into the room. He's obviously heard me talking about him. But there is that whole conversion. And when you get back at the end and you've pushed yourself and the heart rate's gone up slightly, you know that conversion's taken place, because you don't feel that negative energy ripping through, because it's done. You left it on the course. It's gone.
And that's one of the things that I love. And it's fascinating, isn't it? Because we've been through COVID and not being able to go out anywhere. And you've had to go to Scotland and take care of the base up there. I'm down here, you're doing your walking. I've launched myself into swimming. Most of the time I have our marketing director, Candy, with me doing the swimming, who's like a power force in the water. I remind myself she's a lot younger than me, and that helps me not feel very negative about always being behind her. But at the same time, to see what she can do physically and to see how she does it, the resilience that I see is amazing. Whereas I have to stop every, I don't know, probably every 10, 12 laps. I'll give myself 30 seconds and just get my breath back and then carry on going. So it's interesting that we've almost been let out of these cages of non-exercise. And I know for the world of mental health and for a huge amount of people, exercise literally helps them maintain their emotional well-being.
Yeah.
So it's not just about us gaining money for a benevolent fund. It is an amazing example of actually using our own bodies so completely independently to actually feel better in ourselves. It's like a prescription. I don't know if people remember, and I'm not talking about me being this old, but I know at least 6 decades ago, you'd have people saying, well, you know what, here's a prescription, go down to the coast, get some fresh air, that will help you with depression, panic attacks, or anything like that. And you'd be taking it from there. David, you look a little bit distracted.
Yeah, Charlie has, you may have picked up the doorbell go at the office. Charlie has gone absolutely berserk as visitors have come in to the office. So that's the distraction. So that's done, dusted. You're right though, Von, because we can use this as a real template to demonstrate that it's not just go do some exercise. Go do some exercise with the purpose, and it makes a difference, because the way that our bodies connect with our emotional centers is phenomenal. And we've known about it for thousands and thousands of years, except for the last 200. And we're just beginning to remember what we kind of counted out, because pharmaceuticals took over, because medical controls took over. We're now starting to really understand the importance of that emotional connection and that emotional well-being, not just to our psychological well-being and the obvious benefits to our physical, but to the holistic entity that is the human being.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal to watch. I've spoken to dozens of people in the build up to putting this together, and absolutely everybody has kind of missed in the past that emotional connection. And when we talk about it, and I'm sure it'll be the same for you when you've had those conversations, when you highlight the emotional bit that is missed, people go, oh yeah, I never looked at it like that. But, you know, I had a conversation with someone this morning, and they were talking about mental health, psychological well-being. And I pointed out that when someone goes to a therapeutic professional, no professional asks them, how are you thinking today? We ask how people feel, because we know that that emotional point is where everything begins from. And this is where the half marathon wellbeing walk really going to focus on, is making sure that it's that emotional connection that people hold on to. Because if we can build the emotional connection and build that emotional resilience, the mind will do the rest. We don't need to try and do the mind without the emotional, because as the last 50 years, if not more, has shown us, it doesn't work in isolation.
No, it doesn't. And one of the best techniques I ever say to anybody, and I do this myself, when I come out of the pool, I don't just come out of the pool, get in a shower, get myself dressed and leave. I really allow myself to feel what I'm feeling, and I relish. It's like wrapping myself up in that, whoa, I managed 40 laps today, or I managed 50 laps, or I managed 60, because the endorphins are sparking off left, right and centre. And when you really go inward and you allow yourself to appreciate a good feeling, a really positive way of feeling, and your thoughts, it automatically increases it. In the same way that if we think negative thoughts, we automatically feel more negative. When you think positive thoughts in relation to how you feel, it automatically ends up making you smile. There's not a time I don't walk out of a changing room in the gym and I'm not smiling, not just because of the achievement, because I've really appreciated my own efforts.
Yeah.
And I'm not the best with the last year of exercise, because none of us have been the best with exercise, because it's been almost impossible depending on where you live.
Yeah. And this is why this is a half marathon well-being walk. This is not a half marathon for the benevolent fund. This is the funds raised will go to the benevolent fund, but this is a well-being walk. And I'm going to invite people to go on their own walk, a mile, 2 miles, 5 miles, do the whole 13.1 if you want, but connect to, hopefully, if we can get the technology, there'll be a link to me on the road, so people can go and do their walk and connect up and be part of the event on the day. We're going to invite people in the local area to come and join us along the way as well. So this isn't just, you know, Charlie and I out for a long walk, and it would be a long walk for us. But we want people to actually connect with the sense that this is about well-being, and share their stories, share what it is that they're walking for. What's that well-being benefit that they're looking for, and really make this something that can, one, make a difference long term, but not just for the benefit of the benevolent fund. The benevolent fund is the financial benefit, so we can support professionals when they need it most. But the well-being promotion is what has to be the focal point. And that's really what I want to get across. It's what I'm going to be speaking to the team at Men's Radio Station about over the next month. It's what I'm going to be talking to local businesses about along the route. This is something that we really need to, as a sector, we really need to focus on driving that emotional connection. That well-being is not, how does somebody think their situation is?
Yeah, and ironically, just one tiny little thing to add to this, exercise generally makes us drink more water. you know, I don't know many people that wouldn't go on a walk like that, that wouldn't have a ton of water with them. You know, when I go swimming, one of the things that I make sure of is that I've got water. And truth be told, water is one of the most healthiest things for our system. So even when we don't realize what we're actually doing, we're also doing something that we might not do every single day, because when we're exercising, it automatically incorporates water. And for me personally, just noticing those tiny little things, they're actually really quite significant, but we don't tend to think about actually coming to all the exercise that we're doing.
Yeah, and it's that connectivity of all of those smaller kind of building blocks that make up the whole. And it's something I'm really glad that, you know, I'm able to do. I'm glad that physically I am at a point where I can go and do this. Yes, it's going to be tough. Am I looking forward to the idea of this? Not really, but I'm looking forward to the engagement at promoting the well-being. The functionality of this at the moment is still a very, very daunting prospect. So, but we are working on it. We are going to be ready. And as soon as we have a date, we will publish when this will take place. The newsletter that APA has published the end of June it actually has got the route mapped out so people can see where we're going to be along the way. I am really looking forward to the halfway point. The halfway point is a place in Fife called Ellie, and it has one of the best ice cream shops in the country. I am dying to get to that halfway point, even if it's to take a break and just have some really great ice cream.
Right. Well, one thing I do want to point out is for anybody that sees exercise and journeys like you're doing, not to just jump into half marathons.
No.
It's the same as with any exercise. I've gone from 15 lengths to 20 lengths in the pool to 25 to 30, and I've upped it. Yeah. And I know you've been doing the same at building yourself up. So it's really important that anybody out there that's thinking of doing really big exercise, if you like, jumps into half marathons and marathons, don't think about doing it all in one go, because your body will go, hey, I'm going to stop you right there. You're not ready for this. You're not doing it. Yeah. So it is important to build up your resilience, your capacity, your physical capability to be able to achieve that. Yeah. But I might well join you up in Scotland, David, for that particular marathon.
I think what you mean is you're going to join me for the start point and the end point, rather than
no, I just heard about the ice cream in the middle, so it may well be it'll be the middle point as well now.
Just as as you said, Von, building up to any kind of target physically, it's not just physically that has to be prepped for, it's also the psychological that has to be prepped for. This is a daunting task for me. It's been a long time since I was doing speed marches and going off on exercises for weekends at a time and kind of covering 50, 60 miles over a couple of days. That isn't in my everyday. So when I started putting together the exercise package to build up to this, I think the first sort of 2 or 3 days were like 5K walks with a day in between each one. It wasn't a case of in at the deep end. It's building this up. It's also about getting my head right so that I am benefiting from those endorphins and everything else. So I do carry on. The energy level goes up. That's physical. The psychological, that has to build up too, because it's so easy for anybody who has a physically tough day to go, nah, it's easy to stop, I'll rest. And the psychological is going, hold on, I need that fix. I need those endorphins. And then you end up in conflict, physical and psychological, and emotionally you're caught in the middle. And it becomes really painful then to carry on going. So Anybody who wants to join, please consider where you are at in your own physicality and your own emotional readiness. Walking a mile, taking part, being sponsored for that mile, it's great, brilliant. It's where you are at, not where I'm at, not where the team's at. Pardon me. So please, if you are recovering physically and you want to get into exercise, please don't just take a fitness training program off of the internet, off of a DVD. Davina's great, not knocking it, but you need to make sure that you are right and ready for those kind of activities. Speak to a doctor first if you are already in a medical cover of a situation before starting something. If you are reaching out to a physical training instructor of any kind, please make sure, one, they are qualified, two, that they are insured. Far too many people get caught out because the people they work with are not actually insured. They might be qualified, but they're not insured. If you are working with somebody in a gym setting, again, make sure they are covered by the gym that they are working in, rather than just using the gym for their own business. Do these checks to make sure that you are safe, and make sure that any plan has got a backup plan if you start feeling injured. And you will feel injured before you get injured. Invariably, your body will start to tell you. As you start getting fitter, you will start to hear your body tell you. Listen to your body.
This actually reminds me, David, so just sharing a little bit. Do you remember when we were at Borneo doing the ICPC conference, and we decided to take some time out, and we ended up doing a couple of kilometers in a day at a time, and that was not long after. That was my first exercise since 2018 with the surgery that I went through.
And we got caught out by the stairs.
Absolutely. We got to the 5 kilometer walk, wasn't it?
We built up, just to let people know, so it wasn't just a drop in at 5K. So we built up over weeks 1 and week 2 as part of your return to fitness. And in week 3, there was a 5K walk, which on its own wouldn't have been an issue. Nobody told us that at the end of that 5K walk, there was a 100-foot climb of stairs, which just was not part of the package. But fair play to you, you got through that, you made it to the top, you showed amazing tenacity to keep going when you didn't need to, and there would have been no reason for you not to kind of go, okay, that's it, I'll take it easy now. But you got there. I've got to say, I was so proud of the fact that the entire group that we were with gave you a full standing ovation when you made it to the top, and the support that you got from that team was absolutely phenomenal.
It was, and I can honestly say it was the hardest pill to swallow to be last in that group. But at the same time, I so appreciated that actually it was the first exercise I'd really done in such a big way since that surgery. So for me, as hard a pill it was amazing to be able to get to the top. And they were so kind and so thoughtful, because by then, you know, people tell stories. There were people in there that completely understood cancer, what it did to you, how it impacts on you. And bless their hearts, you know, they were just so thoughtful and kind, and literally were clapping as I got to the top, which wasn't an easy thing to swallow, but it was really appreciated, the support. One of the hardest things I've ever done was climbing up those stairs. And how I did it, I don't know, but it is called resilience. It is called support. And this is what this is really about, appreciating what you can do with your own body, but safely, carefully for your mind as well as your body.
Yeah. And that's why it's half marathon wellbeing walk. I am not running. I am not going down that road. Thank you very much. But what, as we've said, this is all about raising the awareness that that emotional benefit that comes from exercise far outweighs anything that you can get from a pharmaceutical.
This is about the prescription of life, not the prescription of antidepressants.
There you go. So thank you for kind of chipping in today, and some pretty kind of informative questioning, if I might say. Thank you for that. For anybody who does want to get involved, check out the links in the description on the video, and we will see you again in another conversation very, very soon. For now, take care.
David, thank you very much. Good luck with your walk. Like you say, I'll be there at the beginning, I'll be there at the ice cream van, and I'll be there at the end. So I'll see you soon, and take care.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.